happen at the speed of trust, which is even more true in the digital and sharing economy that we live in. Welcome to Thank God It's a Story Saturday, a weekly video series where I share stories with you that you can use to make your messages stick. So today's story is a story told by Brian Chesky, who is the founder and CEO of Airbnb. He told this story in 2019 in New York Times conference. Now, the conference was going on, there was this large stage, and the interviewer and Brian Chesky was sitting on the stage, and there were a lot of people in the audience. Well, don't we miss those times when there were a lot of people in the audience? But back to the story. So the interviewer asks Brian Chesky, since you have started Airbnb, have you had any weird experiences? So share some weird experiences with us that you have had. So Brian Chesky says, there are many, but I'll mention a couple. And he tells this one particular story. He says, there was this one time we had a customer complaint call, and the customer demanded that he gets the refund back for the house that he had just stayed in. So the Airbnb staff said, tell us, why do you want the refund? And he says, well, I'm not happy with this particular house because there is a ghost in this house. And the Airbnb staff said, okay, let me just kind of check with the host. And all the host really needed to do was to say, no, that's not true, because not that the customer could have produced a photo evidence and said that, this is the ghost. So they called the host and said, is there a ghost? And the host says, yes, there is a ghost. His name is Stanley, and it is very clearly listed in the listings. So listings is where, the description of the house that you would want to stay in on Airbnb is kind of given. So he says, we've listed it. Stanley is a very friendly ghost, and we didn't hide anything from the guest. So then the Airbnb staff called the guest back and said, I've checked the listing, and it is clearly written there that there is Stanley, the ghost there. And the guest says that, yes, I know that. And that was precisely the reason why I booked that particular apartment. I wanted to meet Stanley, but the problem is in the listing it says it's a friendly ghost. This Stanley has been harassing us. He's not a friendly ghost at all. This place is haunted. So Brian Chesky ends the story there and says that, in this sharing economy, which is built on trust, in this digital economy that is built on trust, how do you find answers to situations like these, right? There is no playbook for situations like these. And he says trust is really at the heart of all of this. What decisions you end up making in scenarios like that are really all about trust. And now, I'm not certain what exactly was the decision made for that particular scenario. But I think if I rewind the same interview, there was this one place where Brian Chesky says something very important, that those who are wanting to build trust in digital and sharing economy, or otherwise as well, can apply. He says that there are times that you will need to make a business decision and a principle decision. So business decision is a decision you make with a certain outcome in mind. So that's the outcome, and you make the decision based on that. And the principle-based decision is a decision where you make the decision irrespective of the outcome that happens. So you will constantly come across scenarios where you will be tested whether you are able to make a good business decision or whether you have to now make a good principle-based decision. I'm not sure what would be the right thing to do in that kind of a scenario. Maybe you can tell me by commenting on it. But I hope you not only laughed and enjoyed that story, but also learned about the various kinds of decisions that you will need to make in this economy where trust is really at the heart of it. Stay storied, and I shall see you here next week with another Saturday story.